Welcome to the 6th Annual Ernesto Illy International Coffee Award. Today we are here to honour 27 women and men from 9 countries whom Illy Café have identified as the growers of the best coffee in the world. The artisans grow coffee of extraordinary quality using sustainable methods. These artisans come from Brazil, Colombia, Costa Rica, Ethiopia, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, India, and Nicaragua. These awards are designed to recognize and celebrate the people who are making coffee and growing coffee, producing coffee around the world. All too often with the things we eat, use and buy, the people who make those things remain invisible. And so I love that we're celebrating and naming the individuals whose physical labor is creating the coffee that we, as coffee drinkers in the world, may end up drinking. Now, agriculture, as you may well know, has a huge impact on the climate and ecological crises. And so looking at food supply chains, including coffee, is essential right now. And it's been really encouraging to learn more about the ways in which Illy Café is trying to improve and lighten their footprint in the world. I was impressed to learn that Illy Café is a B Corp, benefit corporation, and also that they pay around 30% more to their producers through a direct sourcing initiative. Now, I also love that this is a family business, a 3-generation family business, and these awards are a tribute to the grandfather who founded the company, Ernesto Illy. So, let's start learning about how Ernesto Illy's values and vision are informing the people running the company today. And now let's meet some of the people who embody Ernesto Illy's values. So first, let's welcome to the stage Anna Illy, the company's Chief Ethical Officer. Hello, Anna. How are you?
Hello, Lily. Nice to meet you.
Lovely to meet you too.
I'm very happy to be here.
Good. And also to introduce to the stage Alessandro Bucci, who is the Coffee Procurement Director.
Hi, Illy.
Lovely to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Welcome. Should we sit down?
Yes, thank you.
So I've been really interested to learn more about Illy's procurement processes, which seem to be very unusual. First, let me ask you, Anna, I understand that you traveled the world with your father, meeting coffee producers, looking for the best coffee beans, and also trying to really honor and build relationships with the producers.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit about that experience?
Yes, I did. My father, Ernesto, was certainly a sustainability innovator. He was passionately committed to teach business practices and values to the coffee grower community, highlighting how important the high standard of quality are for the development of a better society. The 27 farmers who are here with us today, even if only virtually, are the symbol of the kind of education, and I am very proud of them.
And I was really interested in the business model that your father adopted, this idea of paying directly to the producers, is that correct?
Yes.
Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Under my father's governance, Illy Café started buying its coffee directly from the coffee producers, bypassing the international commodity market. He has developed long-term cooperation with the world's best coffee farmers, in the belief that only a relationship based on mutual growth and knowledge sharing can ensure the quality we were out looking for, and in turn, an increase in product value. he decided to create a system of reward for those who achieve the quality goals that have been set, establishing an annual award for the best coffee crop, a real challenge for the coffee growers who could measure up their work and have a chance to be rewarded while being motivated to constantly improve their efforts.
Amazing. And is it correct to understand that this gives the producers around 20% more pay than market value?
We started in Brazil, which is the country where Illy Café launched a direct collaborative effort with the coffee growers. And in 1991, the company launched its Premio de Qualidade do Café per Espresso for the country's best coffee producers. According to some of the coffee sector's most authoritative voices, the prize has become one of the driving engines of the improvement of production process. Brazilian beans are now acknowledged as among the world's best by the global market. This is a major leap forward since until the early 1990s. Brazil produced a large quantities of coffee, but of poor quality. The Brazilian award helped change this situation, allowing some of the company's areas that had mistakenly been considered inadequate for coffee farming to emerge.
So we've heard how it began. I'd love to hear from you, Alessandro, the next step in that journey and how you've tried to continue those practices.
Yes. Our work is driven by a strong conviction. Quality begins at the start of the chain, on the plant itself. This is why we feel it is important to be present and work in coffee-growing countries in close contact with coffee producers so as to search for and process the very best Arabica beans. The Brazil Award was aimed at motivating producers to make quality, and for us, this project was also a tool to select the best growers. It represented the first of the 4 steps that we have achieved over the years, and that still embodies the way in which Illy Café works with the coffee communities. After selecting and working directly with top Arabica producers, we transferred knowledge by training growers to produce sustainable quality through the Università del Café, and daily working with the fields with the Illy's agronomists. Then the third step consists in compensating them for the quality they achieve by paying over the market price in order to foster ongoing improvement and ensure sustainable production. Last step is the creation of a community that used to meet virtually within Circolo Illy. Through this system based on the 4 pillars over the years, we have managed to create important and lasting relationship with producers, starting from Brazil, where all began. We desired to bring the coffee experience of Brazil to the rest of the world and give the right recognition to the commitment that the women and men of coffee of all the countries from which we buy the precious beans of the best sustainable quality. This is our way to telling them thank you.
Alessandro, Anna, thank you so much for telling me so much. And now I'd like to welcome to the stage the chairman of Illy Café, Andrea Illy. Hello.
Hello, Lily.
Nice to see you.
How are you today?
Lily Illy.
Lily Illy.
So, first and foremost, I wanted to ask about the fact that you're a 3rd-generation family business, which is quite unusual. And so I wanted to ask about the influence of your grandfather and your father and their ideas and their values, how that's influenced the business, but also yourself and your work with the business.
Well, it's a good question because maybe it's my grandfather's dream, which is to offer the greatest coffee to the world. My grandfather fell in love with coffee in Vienna, which used to be, together with Venice, one of the 2 great cities which made coffee, so popular in the world. And he was Hungarian. He moved to Vienna so young. And there he, as I said, he fell in love with coffee. And then he came as a soldier to Trieste, which used to be the official port of the Austro-Hungarian Empire. And there he decided to settle down and say, I pursue the dream of offering the greatest coffee to the world, with two very important innovations. Because he did re-engineer the espresso formula, introducing the high-pressure espresso that we all know in the world today, and pressurized package for locking our flavors and enhancing those flavors of coffee, and the two systems interacting for a delicious quintessence of coffee. So this dream is not only contagious, but is also infinite. It will last forever, because there is no limit to how much you can you share with people, because offering is about sharing. It's coffee is the official beverage of socialization, of lifestyle, of everything positive in our society, success and well-being. There is no limits, and there is no limit to greatness. Greatness understood not as magnitude, but value. Virtuous. This is why it's so contagious, and we still pursue that dream. And this is really something for all generations. So I have the privilege to represent the third generation, along with my sister and my two brothers. And then we have the fourth generation. Very big group of girls joining us for the future.
Amazing. And did he have a cafe initially, your grandfather?
No, he started with a factory. He started with a factory manufacturing both coffee machines and roasting coffee.
Okay.
So this was, which is more or less the same, let's say, organization we still have today. We have two departments, one for the engineering for coffee machines, packaging and processing, and then the rest is about the consumable, so the coffee beans, roasting, sorting, grinding, and packaging itself.
And the sustainability and kind of social side of the business, when did that come into play? Was that your father, your grandfather, and how has that developed over the years?
Well, at a certain moment in our company, there has been a breakthrough at the beginning of the 90s, because as a consequence of a big coffee crisis, drop of prices as a consequence of overproduction, we weren't in the condition any longer to find good coffee. So we were in a mission-critical situation, not being able to produce high-quality coffee as per our mission. So we decided to overcome all the supply chain and go direct to coffee growers. And stimulate them, hey, if you are going to produce quality, you will get incredible results and we can pay you more. And this message, so clear, you can produce quality beyond quantity, particularly in such a country like Brazil, has been a breakthrough. And since then, we, in less than 10 years, we were organized to source 100% of the coffee directly from coffee countries in nearly 20 countries.
Wow.
And this created a direct trading, let's say, supply chain, which allows us to have a double traceability. We have the traceability of every single coffee bean, we know where it comes from, but every single cent we pay to them, to those growers, so that we can make sure that we pay fair prices to them, rewarding for all their efforts and investments, so that they also have a margin to be reinvested for further improvement in the future. And this created a very, let's say, intimate relation with this community of coffee growers, which is now literally a community named Circolo Illy. And there are many new growers joining the community every year. And it's about, it's beyond loyalty. It's really about friendship and long-term relationship, also because they exchange knowledge between each other from different countries. So it's really interesting, and all this is kind of facilitated also by the University of Coffee that we created in order to exchange knowledge with them, in order to help them elevating their agronomical practices for a higher sustainable quality, because sustainability and quality are two faces of the same coin in our product.
Amazing. Yeah, I've done a lot of work looking at supply chains, and so often people don't know the first step in the supply chain. So having that traceability is really important and powerful.
It's fundamental for us.
Yeah. And I also had read a report last year that coffee is the second most valuable commodity in the world.
Yes, it is a large commodity.
Oil. Yeah.
It's a large commodity, but a difficult one for our friends coffee growers.
Yeah.
Because they are the first ring of a long supply chain.
Well, that's what I read.
That a long value chain. So the long value chain is about $200 billion.
Yeah.
At cap value. But the very first ring is coffee growers exporting green coffee, unprocessed, unroasted coffee. And this is less than 10%. Depending on the price, is between from 5 to 10%. So which is on average $15 billion nowadays. And it's a pity that we cannot, let's say, transfer more value added to those producing countries. And this is why we help them elevating their sustainable quality so that they have a higher value added product, because consumers definitely reward quality in terms of taste and nutritional value of this coffee, as well as sustainability.
And do you find when you pay them, because I understand Illy pays average 30% higher than market value to the producers.
Yes, we do.
Do you find that then that influences their prices to other suppliers, or are they supplying exclusively for Illy?
We see that what we do, luckily, influences most of the market.
Yeah.
We did notice, particularly in Brazil, that after we started our Brazilian award, a few years later, many other awards started. A local association of gourmet coffee started. And eventually my father, who together with my sister Anne originated our Brazilian success, has been recognized, acknowledged by the parliament in Brasilia as the man who changed the coffee market in Brazil. So this has been even studied from the kind of scientific point of view, with the theory of complexity, has been described as the butterfly effect. You know what it means? That a butterfly from one side, at one side of the ocean can generate a thunderstorm on the other side of the ocean because of the complexity of how, this top-down process can influence the market. This is what did happen, and since then Brazil can be described as a quantitative and qualitative leader in the world. And they definitely strengthened their exports, both in quantity and in value. I cannot, let's say, take the merit as Illy, but we did at least inspire and probably trigger that movement.
Amazing. Yeah, I remember when the report I read said that coffee was the second most valuable commodity, but so little of that value goes back to the coffee growers. So it's wonderful to hear about initiatives that are trying to address that. I wanted to also ask about climate change and what are the challenges with growing coffee? Does it drive any deforestation or problems? And then conversely, what are the solutions? What are the ways that coffee can be made in a way that's not harmful to the planet?
Well, definitely coffee is impacted by climate change. It's less a contributor because overall agriculture accounts for 18% of carbon emissions. Coffee is really a tiny part because it's a perennial crop and in most of the countries is grown in sustainable, let's say, solutions. Although in some countries where it is grown with the so-called conventional agricultural practices with monoculture and a lot of fertilization and so on, it is definitely an emitter. So the problem of adaptation is a bigger one because up to 50% of the currently suitable land for coffee agriculture might not be suitable any longer by 2050 as a consequence of climate change because the climatic condition under which coffee needs to grow is really narrow. And it is heavily, let's say, compromised by climate change. Even that this year we had a couple of frosts which compromised our crops. So we need definitely to adapt. And in order to adapt, there are three sequential, let's say, actions, corrective actions. One is to improve the agronomical practices. Second is to develop new cultivars which are more resilient to climate change, because biodiversity in coffee is not so wide. We need to widen it for better resilience. More biodiversity means more resilience. And third, if really necessary, also migrate some of the plantations to higher latitudes or higher altitudes so that they can meet, let's say, milder climates. With that, the good news is that those actions, which are good for adapting coffee to climate change, are also the same as good to mitigate. And I would say the broader, let's say, definition is so-called non-conventional agriculture, which means enriching soil with organic carbon so that you nourish the soil biodiversity, soil fertility, soil hydration, soil even physical resilience to floods and these kind of problems. And the second is increased biodiversity, like in multiculture, multi-crop, and as a broader principle of agroecology, combining non-conventional agriculture with more, let's say, sustainable practices together with reserves in the same ecosystem, natural reserves, where you can also increase the biodiversity with forests, and the combination of the two is really the best possible, without talking a lot. There has been the very first food system meeting at the United Nations this year, at the time of the General Assembly. They spoke about that, they are speaking about that at COP26. So it's really a trend which is becoming relevant.
Yeah. I went to COP26 and there was I spoke on a DEFRA panel about nature and land use and the impact of agriculture and animal agriculture, but agriculture more generally. As being both a cause of climate change, but also a potential massive solution if we change how we use land and build a kind of healthier relationship to land management.
Yes, this regenerative agriculture practice are potentially amazing because in total, food systems are responsible from farm to fork up to 35% of carbon emissions.
Yeah.
But if we learn to sequester carbon and increase biodiversity with agriculture, it can turn out to be not only a negative, let's say, industry, carbon negative, but also definitely, let's say, contribute substantially to biodiversity conservation, which is equally relevant because it's not only an issue about decarbonizing our society for meeting the Paris Agreement and the SDGs, is also about restoring the natural capital so that we can also, let's say, rebuild a carbon stock and keep the biodiversity, which is so important for ecosystems' health, including human health.
100% with you on that. And how far are Illy on that journey in terms of moving your kind of production processes towards agroforestry, organic or regenerative practices? Where are you on that journey?
Well, we started the journey. Myself, I'm a scientist as a background, I'm a chemist. I took a sabbatical to really deeply learn this theory and practices. And now we are in the process of starting experimenting. So we have two experimental plantations that we work with, one in Ethiopia and one in Guatemala, which have been designed to be carbon-free and biodiverse with a positive impact, social impact on the local communities, right? And and we will see if we succeed with this plantation. But as far the business model is that as far as we develop knowledge, transferable knowledge with these pilot farms, we will immediately transfer this knowledge through the University of Coffee to the rest of the growers of the same country.
Okay.
So we hope to be able to escalate that model, very much like we did escalate this direct sourcing with a Brazilian award in 10 years, to be successful in, let's say, transitioning from conventional agriculture to non-conventional agriculture, regenerative agriculture in coffee in 10 years, hopefully.
So
it's ambitious.
It's a 10-year plan?
Yes.
Okay.
And it's a 10-year plan which is triggering our roadmap to be carbon-free in 2033.
Okay.
And we want to be carbon-free in a so-called natural-based solution, right? Because we don't want to offset, we don't want to, of course we can compress our emission in the industrial part as low as possible, but still there will be some. Also dependently on which kind of energy will be available at that time, because we don't produce energy ourselves. The rest will be, let's say, fixed in the biosphere, in the same ecosystems where we grow our coffee, in the land, in the soil, as well as in the flora.
Amazing.
This is the idea.
And the last question I wanted to ask you is about the communities you work with. And so I'm aware that there's a huge number of women who are producers. I'm curious if you work with indigenous communities. And also I noticed that the FARC from Colombia won the award a few years ago. So I wondered if you could illustrate some of the real stories and the real people behind making your coffee.
This aspect, I really ask you, thank you for your question, because it's such a passionate aspect of our work, working with those communities. So just a few examples. In Colombia, we work with in a community in Cauca, which is so-called Misak. And in Costa Rica, we have also one, which is called Ngabe Ibugle community from Panama, working also in South Costa Rica. Then we have in Guatemala, we work with the Maya community. So these are three examples in Latin America, but we had examples in India. I still remember of a community of priests in India, which won a prize, and with the money of the prize they won, they have been able to electrify the village, which was not electrified. And of course, there are communities in Ethiopia, in all countries we work. And as the story of the FARC community that you mentioned, this is one really brilliant story, because we have been asked also by the President Santos, who won the Nobel Prize, to support some of the ex-FARC warriors to convert into coffee growers. And this community officially create a kind of a consortium, a cooperative, in 2018. And in the year after, we transferred knowledge to them through the University of Coffee. We taught them how to really do the best possible. They won the Ernesto Illy International Award. So this is really something which
and it's a blind tested
completely
award.
Completely blind. We don't know who's the winner.
Yeah.
Not only we don't know who's the winner because it's blind, but the jury for the best of the best is an external jury. It's not, let's say, there are no Illy representative into it. So it's really something super partes.
So it was a kind of amazing coincidence that the community that was new to the project won the
I
award
would say
so quickly.
It has been more than the coincidence, really the proof that our efforts in really picking the best possible communities motivated to do the best and transferring knowledge to them how to really grow this coffee and process this coffee really works. So it has been a demonstration of our system.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me.
My pleasure, Lily.
Yeah, it's
so now,
wonderful to hear.
I leave you with Massimiliano Pogliani, who's the real boss of the company. Massimiliano joined us in 2016 as the very first non-Illy family member of the company, and he's doing a great job.
Not non-Illy family member of the company.
Non-Illy family member.
CEO.
So external, independent CEO.
Yeah. Great.
Because I used to be the CEO for 22 years before him, so this is why I say non-Illy family members.
Yes, I see. Thank you.
Okay.
Welcome.
Hi. Thanks, Lily. How are you?
Very good. How are you?
I'm fine.
So I understand you're the first ever non-family member to play CEO of the company, and that you've been doing a lot of kind of transformative work since you've been with the company. So you've made the company the first ever Italian B Corp, which I was impressed by because I know a lot about B Corps. And you're also doing a digital transformation. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Well, that's very important. We have really strengthened the strategy of our company in recent years, so especially with the digital transformation, so which allow us to improve more and more the virtuous circle between online and offline in order to share with our consumers the value of coffee culture, from bean to cup, from coffee production to coffee consumption. So ultimately, we continue to pursue the dream of our founders, so to offer the greatest coffee to the world.
And I'm aware that you do a lot of investment in young people throughout the supply chain, including a master's program, I think. Can you tell me more about the work you're doing with young people?
Yeah, absolutely. We want to give, the voice to the next generation of coffee industry, because we are well aware that the key role of the new generation is playing in building a better world. So in Illy Café, we firmly believe that the progress is achieved through personal growth. So it means knowledge and self-realization. So for this reason, the company invests in knowledge sharing through 26 branches of the University of Coffee around the world and the Master of Coffee Economics and Science. So the Master offers an in-depth and multidisciplinary training about the entire coffee value chain from bean to cup, which is instrumental to be able to work in the coffee industry and the agri-food sector.
And what are the strategies you use to engage young people?
Well, of course, we use a lot of digital strategy. I can mention the Stand for the Coffee Future program, which is an initiative that we wanted to show how coffee and the coffee industry are important to help making the world a better place, and how the new generation are instrumental, passionate, and committed in doing so. So we gave voice to those young people who have chosen to train and to dedicate their skill to improve the future of coffee industry, encouraging others to follow their example. So young people are really the future, and we want to work hand in hand with them to ensure sustainable quality of the whole entire coffee value chain. Well aware that sustainability and quality are two sides of the same coin. We know that consumers, they love coffee, so also they need to know what real sustainable quality is. That's why with the University of Coffee, we train about them, the whole value chain, so the quality of coffee, and how you can reach this quality by making full attention to have an economical, environmental, and social sustainability.
Wonderful. I'd love to know more about the decision that you made to involve coffee drinkers in the process of choosing a finalist, and why you feel it's important that regular consumers, for want of a better phrase, feel part of this awards process.
Well, the consumers are, in the end, the one who decides which coffee they want to drink. And ultimately, as Ernesto Illy used to say, are the real owner of this company. So they have a key role in this. And through this award, we want to recognize the role, then giving the consumer the opportunity to select the best coffee of the crop 2020-2021. So consumer did a kind of blind test in our flagship store, and they tested each variety and they give a vote to each of them. So sometimes the consumer jury is very surprising, the result. Sometimes it's very different from the one of the expert jury, although they sometimes also collide and they converge, as it was the case last year.
I say, so last year they both chose the same winner.
Exactly. Exactly.
Interesting. Well, thank you so much on behalf of all coffee drinkers, which includes myself, and we'll see you a bit later.
Thank you very much. The stage is all yours now.
Okay, it's time to find out who the 27 finalists are. Those that the Illy Quality Laboratory, based in Trieste, described as the best of the 2020-2021 crop and selected for participating at the 6th Ernesto Illy International Coffee Award. Here are the countries and coffee producers listed in alphabetical order by name of country. So from Brazil, Fazenda Agua Viva, Fazenda Fonte Alta, Fazenda Sitio Daniela 1. From Colombia, Caldono Women Coffee Project, Hambalo Sabildo Coffee Project, Piendamo Intergenerational Coffee Project. From Costa Rica, Coop Atines, Coop Salbilito, and Marispi. From El Salvador, Finca Agua Calienta, Finca La Concordia, Finca La Providencia. From Ethiopia, Asma International Business, Beshu International Trading, and Gera Estate. From Guatemala, Finca Joya Grande, Finca Pena Blanca, and Prieto Lift Olopita. From Honduras, Cocasancol, Finca El Cedron, and Finca Los Liquidambar. From India, Bushkal Estate, Halihithlu Estate, and Jambur Estate. And finally, from Nicaragua, Finca California, Finca Santa Isabel, and Proyecto Lift. Now I ask David Brusa and Alessandro Bucci to join me on stage. Alessandro, welcome back. And David is the Total Quality and Sustainability Director. Lovely to meet you. Responsible, I hear, for all of the company's social, environmental, and economic sustainability projects.
My pleasure, Lily. I hope you feeling good here with us.
Feeling very good learning more and more about your business. So tell me, how did the Quality Laboratory choose the 27 finalists we have today?
Yes, sure. Every day we taste the coffee coming from Trieste, from every part of the world, to select the best one, which will be the part of our blend. The Quality Laboratory selects the coffee that arrive in Trieste and that have already passed the sustainability check, analyzing the organoleptic quality. Each sample is visually sected bean by bean in order to be selected the perfect are separated from those that visually are not. These ones are verified again through olfactory analysis because sometimes the beans are ugly, but still good. We select and bean by bean in order to roast it then, and the coffee that will be tasted by a group of super senior taster assessors. The best coffee were tested during the year are selected aside to participate in the Ernesto Illy International Coffee Award. Among this coffee in the Illy Quality Lab in Trieste, Italy, we identified 3 different coffees, lot for country, representative the best coffee from 9 different countries.
Thank you. And Alessandro, will you shed light on who the 27 nominees are?
Sure. So we are starting with Brazil. So, third place for the Coffee Award in Brazil is Miss Daniela Romano Pelosini from Fazenda Sitio Daniela 1. And second place goes to Miss Maria Claudia Porto da Fazenda Monte Alta. Of course, the first place is going to Mr. José Marques de Araújo, Fazenda Agua Viva.
And for Colombia?
We are flying to Colombia now. Third place, Mr. Gerardo Arroyo, representing Intergeneracional Coffee Project, Piendamó. Second place, Miss Griseldina Quinayas, Women Coffee Project in Caldono. And the first place, Miss Araceli Vitonco, Cabildo Coffee Project in Jambaló.
And Costa Rica.
Going to Costa Rica, third place, Mr. Juan Carlos Alvarez Ulate, representing Cope Atenas. Second place, Mr. Warner Quesada Elizondo of Cope Sabalito. And the first place, Johnny Marin Badilla, de Marespi. Congratulations.
Thank you, Alessandro, and congratulations to those nominees. David, I wanted to ask you about the concept of ugly beans and whether you use the ugly beans as part of the final coffee.
Yes, if we found some ugly bean in the sample, we sort one by one, we check visually and we smelling one by one, and then we tasted all of them, because sometimes the ugly beans still good, and it's a pity not to use them. For this reason, sometimes we also has the effort and the support by the electronic nose that can help us, like taster assessment, to select the best coffee in the world, and to be more sustainable to the fact that the beans is a natural product, and some defects is the part of the natural product.
Yeah. I love that, because I've supported ugly fruit and ugly vegetable campaigns.
Yeah.
That, nothing is perfect in nature, and that's perfect in its own way.
So we have to manage it, and we are able to do it.
Yeah, that's great to hear. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
And I'll see you both again in a moment.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. And now I'd like to welcome back onto the stage the brother and the sister, Andrea and Anna Illy. Welcome back.
Hello, Lily.
Hello, Lily.
Hello. Anna, will you please tell us the nominees for El Salvador and Ethiopia?
Ethiopia, third place, Dabilesh Becere, Bechu International Trading. Second place, Mrs. Seada Shifa, Asma International Business. First place, Mr. Alemayu Dagne, Gera Estate. El Salvador, third place, Mr. Carlos Antonio Borja, Finca La Concordia. Second place, Mr. Fernando Alfaro, Finca La Providencia. First place, Mr. José Ernesto Borja Papini, Finca Agua Caliente.
Thank you. And Andrea, will you please tell us the nominees for Guatemala and India?
Sure. In Guatemala, third place, Mr. Pablo Chuy Flores, Finca Peña Blanca. Second place, Mrs. Jovita Castillo, Finca Joya Grande. And first place, Mr. Alfonso Urbina Peralta, Proyecto Lift Olopita. So for India, third place, Mr. Mahesh Gowda of Alit Lu Estate. Second place, Mr. Balaraju, Buskul Estate. And first place, Mr. Nachapa, Jumbor Estate.
Thank you both so much. And now we're going to welcome Massimiliano back to the stage. Will you please tell us the nominations from Honduras and Nicaragua?
Of course, with pleasure. So, Honduras, third place, Mr. José Humberto Ardón Pérez, Fincas Los Liquidan Bar. Second place, Mr. David Garcia, Cocasana Sol. First place, Mr. Gerardo López, Finca El Cedrión. And then we go to Nicaragua. Third place, we have Mr. José Neftali Arauz Herrera, Finca California. The second place, Mr. Gregorio Osman Gutierrez Moreno, Finca Santa Isabel. And first place, Mr. Holman Vicente Rivera Herrera, Proyecto Lift.
Thank you, Massimiliano. So let's recap the 9 finalists who will compete for the Coffee Lovers' Choice Award and for the Best of the Best Award. They are Mr. Jose Marquez de Araújo from Fazenda Agua Viva in Brazil.
Mrs. Araceli Vitonso from Jambaló, Cabildo Coffee Project for Colombia.
Mr. Johnny Marin Bedila from Morespi for Costa Rica.
Mr. Alamayehu Danye from Gera Estate for Ethiopia.
Mr. Jose Ernesto Borja Pepini from Finca Agua Caliente for El Salvador.
Mr. P.M. Nachapa from Jumbor Estate for India.
Mr. Alfonso Urbina Peralta from Proyecto Lift Olapita for Guatemala.
Mr. Gerardo López from Finca El Cedrón for Honduras.
And last but not least, Mr. Holman Vicente Rivera Herrera from the Proyecto Lift for Nicaragua. Which brings us to the crucial moment where we get to reveal the Coffee Lovers' Choice Award. So Max, I'm curious to know who is the winner of the Coffee Lovers' Choice Award. Will you let us know?
Of course. I have the envelope here with the winner. Are you curious?
I am.
So let's see. And the winner is Guatemala, Mr. Alfonso Urbina Peralta from Proyecto Lift Olopita.
I love Guatemala.
So and now, let me ask David to join me on stage and John Lilly on stage for the Best of the Best award.
David, I'm curious to know, has the pandemic changed your testing process compared to other years?
In full compliance with the social distances measures to contain the pandemic, we arrange individual tastings. Each jury member tastes coffee with his and her preferred style, mocha, filter, or espresso. After that, jury assigns a score for each single origin on aroma richness and complexity, elegance and balance, and intensity and aroma strength.
In addition to the consumers jury, a jury of professionals was also involved who evaluated the 9 coffee samples that reached the final. David, could you please introduce them and tell us a little bit about what they tasted?
Yes, sure. It's a demanding job because it is a question of deciding which is the best starting from a very high quality level. That's why we involve an international jury made of expert taster, star chef, and expert journalists. Let me thank all of them for the precious work they did, tasting each sample with great seriousness and professionality. Can you help me to introduce them?
Yeah, sure.
So, let's start with José Carlos Capel. Capel is a Spanish food critic and journalist, well known for his food and wine writing and for creating the Madrid Fusion Congress. He is a prolific writer on gastronomy and the culinary arts in the general, and has received numerous awards, including Spanish National Gastronomic Award for the best publication.
And next we have Kyle Connaughton. Connaughton is a culinary author and chef owner of Single Thread Farm, Restaurant Inn in Heidelberg, California, with his wife Katina, which continues to be widely embraced, and among its numerous accolades, it is the only 3 Michelin-starred restaurant in Sonoma County, and in 2020 was honored with a Green Star recognizing its commitment to gastronomic sustainability.
So, Birao Nomo Gebis Wuli. Gebis Wuli is the Ethiopian head of Coffee Quality Inspection and Certification Center in Addis Ababa. He has a decennial experience in coffee quality and export standards.
Vicky Gaines. Vicky is a Belgian Michelin-starred chef that after studying industrial science has decided to venture into the world of gastronomy as a self-taught chef. Through self-study and ironclad discipline, Vicky Gaines educated himself about the culinary industry, food, and all the tips and tricks to becoming an excellent chef.
Sunalini Menon. Menon is Asia's first women professional in the field of the coffee tasting, also known as coffee cupping, called. She has been called Asian First Lady of Coffee. Formerly, Menon was Quality Director at the Coffee Board of India. At present, she is the President of Coffee Lab Limited, a laboratory which is the first of its kind to be set up in India, for all quality-related services covering the entire coffee value chain in the domestic and international markets.
Clark Parkin. Parkin is a German food and travel journalist, also well known as a stylist and a writer.
Michela Proietti. Proietti is a writer and journalism for the Italian newspaper Corriere della Sera, Sette, and the television commentator. She deals with the fashion, style, and society.
Nico Romito. Romito is a widely acclaimed Italian chef who runs the restaurant Real in Castel di Sangro and 2 Spazio Bistros in Milan and Rome, and every Bulgari hotel restaurant in the world. In just 7 years, Romito earned a remarkable 3 Michelin stars and is regarded as a true culinary visionary.
The last judge is Henry Alirio Martinez Salinas. Martinez is a Regional Commercial Director at Colombia Coffee Grower Federation, FNC, 25 years of experience in quality control, capping, trading, and coffee supply chain management.
So now it's time to learn who is the best of the best. So David, will you tell us who won the award?
Sure. This year's Ernesto Illy International Coffee Award winner is, I can't say it, I just say the motivation. A cup with lightly silky, smooth and rounded mouthfeel interspersed, with brightness, flavors of chocolate, caramel and citrus, dotted with nuts and a hint of fruits. The finish is smooth, with chocolate and a hint of sweetness, bitter edge and brightness.
Thank you, David. So now we know what the winning coffee tastes like. Shall we find out who made it? Please join me on the stage, Andrea, Anna, Alessandro, and Max. So I believe you have the secret answer to the question, who won the award, Andrea?
Sure. So it's with an I, maybe it's Italy. No? Italy doesn't grow any coffee. So it's India with Mr. B.M. Nachapa from Jumbor Estate.
Well, thank you all so much. It's really been fascinating to learn more about the coffee supply chain, and also to honor and name the people who make the coffee, because I feel like so many things we eat and consume and wear in life, we have no idea of the real people and the real stories behind those products. So an award process that not only names but celebrates and rewards the kind of invisible heroes that are growing coffee beans, I really appreciate. So thank you for that. And before we go for a coffee, is there anything else left to say?
Yes, we need to thank you, Illy, for having been our guest today. You brought really a touch of elegance to our event. And I'm also glad that India won, because it's the precise message that we want to convey now, to grow coffee in a regenerative way. In this case, it's agroforestry. And so it's a pity that this year the event was still virtual. I wish that next year will be physical, in person, next time. But I really, really, really thank everybody who participated to this wonderful event.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.